Good evening. Happy July, everyone. I can't believe we're in the second half of 2026 already. Hope you're doing well. I had quite a June as far as first time releases or first time watches. A bunch of brand new movies, things that were released to theaters in the month of June. A couple of oldies and a couple of just randoms on I think Netflix. Whenever it's a streamer, I just never know which platform it is I'm seeing it. And I checked my diary, and I do have a stand-up special in there. And we're gonna count it because I don't know when else an opportunity to talk about this thing that I'm probably very late to the party, and maybe if TGIT were still going, it probably would have been a bit better to have a uh, expose. I don't know if that's the right word I want to use, but yeah, a brand new stand up special that I watched and have thoughts on, but I don't really consider stand up specials movies. But we're gonna bend the rules because the stuff I watched in June wasn't too. The list isn't too large. There's some heavy hitters as far as interactivity and things happening on the channel here. There's one that's still probably the busiest of any short I've done, and it's I probably not all positive, but interactivity is interactivity. You can call me all the names in the book you want. I just keep doing it in the comments section. Yeah, so I think it's a total of 14 movies over the course of June. Um, just want to double check that this is going out to everyone. Doc. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't know why there's such a difference between me streaming with a guest and me by myself because it really should work. I don't know why I did this. Um, okay. All right. So the chat works. Doc, you can. Yes. And Doc cuts to the chase and says, to paraphrase a few of those comments, you're pissing off the right people. I don't know if I'm pissing off the right people so much as um, the movie is, which I think is weird because I'm not pissed off about this movie. I'm really not. If anything, I don't know. Like I said, I'm kind of entertained. I've been in different drips and drabs of drama over the course of my YouTube lifespan, my YouTube career, if you will. And this is the longest going one on one piece of content. Like um boy with autism, that kind of died within a week. Um Massive breakups over the 2019 year. None of them had the same staying power over the course of a week. 2023, I think there was a little bit of drama. But all of them, they usually die off within like 3 to 4 days. Interest kind of fades, but not in this instance. It's just, I guess maybe because it's only a minute and 10 seconds of material to get through. It is my best performing short. And who knew I had to piss people off to get them to watch 80% of a piece of content, but we'll get to it. I'm sure if you know, you know. It's something I watched for the first time in June, and sitting here with the missus, um, she kind of encouraged without really encouraging that. Like, if they're eating up that content, you might as well just green light the who would like that video and capitalize on it, and just kind of be wary of the comment section, or have a feature within the video where you highlight the comment section because man, it is complete sanity. Sean, thank you. 99p, 99. I don't know what cents is in euros. 99 euro cents. Elon Musk liked the movie. That's the important thing. Yeah, and had it for free on X over the course of 48 hours, which I mean, that's great. Let all the people who are on X watch it for free. That's one way to do things. So yeah, we will. No, no, I think you are. Yeah, we'll get to it. 99 cent. Is it cents? Okay. All right. Fair enough. Um, my head farted. What was I going to do? I just get right into the movies we watch. First timers. For those of you who don't know, we go by the order of the calendar. The first time watch I've watched, we probably go back to the beginning of June, and then we work our way through the calendar month. And it's by no particular order. It's not by scores or anything. So you're going to see like a 2-star film, and then a 5-star film, and then back to a 3-star film. We're not like building our way up. We're just going by date. So it's going to be up and down because I know what my June was like, and it's going to be up and down. Elon, exactly, exactly. Like when you read things that people are saying, you're like, do you process things? Elon posted it for free, but it's doing great numbers. I mean, he could have licensed it, which is very possible. And also, everyone's banning it, but the only people who are banning it is Germany, and there's a story behind that because um, the real life thing that is being emulated in that movie caused some outrage to where people went and set something on fire. So um, in Germany, they're a little itchy on the trigger finger with having people get coerced by one thing because it's Germany. And if anything, the world said, knock that shit off. They started 2 big fights, and maybe they're just trying to set a precedent or maybe set an example. But all content for, or definitely the Who Would Like That video. It's going to be a great discussion because it's not about gore. It's just about it's banned in Germany, and artistic merit is the theme of Who Would Like That, and we will discuss artistic merit of this movie that is banned but is also #1 on Amazon Prime and also free for 2 whole days if you were on X. So man, they're restricting that hard. Um, all right, to the bottom of the screen I go. Here I am. Hi, on the bottom. Yes, and Doc says, now why would anyone act on something they saw in this film? It's real life. It's real life. All right, so the first thing I saw is a Guy Ritchie film. It is titled In the Gray. I believe this is yet another streamer movie. I gave it a 2.5 out of 5. Watched it on June 4th. So I had a little bit of a extended weekend of not watching brand new stuff. My review goes this. I feel like this is an annual review from me, but as far as mid-action movie, it's fine. Not great, not awful. It's fine. But for a Guy Ritchie film, I expect a bit more. This movie just feels numb. Situations that should be more engaging in other types of action movies are just oomph in this. The odd thing is, there are moments where the snappy Ritchie dialogue peeks through, but if anything, it's just reminding me of what this movie could be. And I finished with shame. Yeah, these Guy Ritchie straight to streaming movies, um, like they're fine, but none of it really sticks with me. I know what I'm talking about in this review. I know. I think it's 2 years in a row now that, I mean, Guy Ritchie's done a couple of movies a year over these last couple of years, and I know what I'm talking about, but I can't give you any sort of like particulars about the movies that stick out to me where I'm like, oh, this is definitely something that was awesome, and I remember, or would recite to someone who asks something about this movie, what makes it good and or bad. And that's a shame because I, I hate admitting it, but my favorite Guy Ritchie movie is Sherlock, is the first RDJ Sherlock movie. Guy Ritchie, I dig his dialogue. Um, as I've spent more time in the UK, in Europe, um, some of it makes more sense. It doesn't feel so foreign to me. Although I don't know, maybe the fact that the dialogue felt foreign to me was something that I found appealing or something I found entertaining. But like when I rewatch those movies after spending, time out in Europe and the UK and France and etc., it 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 works better with me. But recently, that charm just it isn't there. I'm not saying that these movies are bad, but they're just not like noteworthy. They don't stick with me. It's not something, again, not in a negative way, but also not in a positive way. I watch it, I don't have a bad time, but at the same time, it's like Chinese food. After an hour, I'm not really thinking about it again, but I'm also hungry again. So, um, like I said, shame. Next, Buried. This isn't technically a first time watch for me, but it has definitely been at least a decade since I had seen it, and, on this rewatch, I gave it a 3.5, a cinematic bottle episode that might as well come with a free Xanax. The cinematography is oddly creative when you consider the many restrictions of the scenario, but this movie certainly is effective in keeping the tension up. Bleak and dark. I know why I watched this. This is starring, Ryan Reynolds. I watched this movie because I had just watched Iron Lung, which is the Markiplier movie, and there was conversations that came up about, the stuck in one spot thing, and do you know of any movies that are better, have handled the situation better? And it tempted me to rewatch Buried, and I did. Buried is one location. Um, And oddly enough, I think Buried is a bit more creative. Um, so yeah, if you have claustrophobia, I would advise against Buried. It's just a dude in a casket for the entire runtime, and he's on a cell phone trying to get someone to help him get out of this casket, which is buried underground. Um, and it still manages to be exciting. You would think a premise like that, after what, 20 minutes, like, okay, what else can you do with this premise? Like, I get it. He's stuck, running out of air. Okay. Um, but there's enough to reveal there. It's nothing flawless, but if you do have issues with, tight spaces and stuff, the movie's very effective. And as far as a one location movie, I would take Buried every time over um Iron Lung. But I mean, I'm encouraging Markiplier to do movies the way he has. You're not going to know everything out the gate. So what he's been doing, how he's been doing things by himself is encouraging. I like the fact that the film performed well, so he kind of did right by all of the crew. That is something that's not being accused of the people who made Obsession. So um, I would rather be on the Iron Lung crew than the Obsession crew. It seems, and I said crew, not cast. Uh, but without further ado, we don't talk about crews here. Next, oh joy! On June 5th, I saw a scary movie, otherwise titled Scary Movie 6. Do I have more to say down there? Oh no, I have a link to. Oh, why don't I link all my stuff on here? That's crazy. Scary Movie 6, absolutely abysmal. Whatever cynical feelings you could apply to cash grab remakes still applies here, even if they're acknowledging the bit within the movie itself. This movie ends up being the worst of all of the blank movies, and by that I mean like epic movie, all of those spoof movies of the 2000s. Just references with some shoehorned pop culture stuff crammed in because it will be recognized. There will there were some gags where I honestly felt the movie was doing dated material. How many kids under 40 will get the Jeffersons theme song? But then again, the stuff that they're satirizing itself has recycled some old references. But COVID, remember that? Anyway, here's a gag for that thing from 6 years ago. Also, culture war garbage. Yeah. I believe I've talked about this a couple of times. I had a review, not very active with the brand new review content on this channel, but I did give my first thoughts on this. I think Cody and I discussed this for a few minutes at least. It was one of my more disappointing movies of the year. I think it was actually one of both of our more disappointing movies of the year. And we talked about how much of a letdown it was and how discouraging it is hearing certain people, how they feel about comedy in general and how they're willing to accept just references. I recognize that. I don't know if that's funny, but I recognize that, so that's good enough. That's really kind of a bummer. So yeah, there's plenty to hear my thoughts on Scary Movie. Didn't like it. I gave it the extra half star. It is a 1 star from me. I am unfamiliar with the animated segment, but I know that that's that Korean animated film that's on Netflix, K-pop Demon Hunters. I really enjoyed that segment. If anything, I really couldn't accuse the entire movie of being lazy. That K-pop Demon Hunters, the animation is cool. It's shoehorned, of course. It's contrived, of course. But like I've said this before, comedy, you kind of are trying to work backwards from a punchline, and it's neat that it's part of this like dream sequence that explains why we're having this bizarre moment here that is animated and so on and so forth. But the extra half star is for that segment alone. Oh, here's another one that I just caught by accident. I had quite a time on Netflix. This was nearly a week later. June 11th, I watched Choose or Die, which I gave a 1.5 star to. You can tell somewhat obviously in certain scenes how much this movie wanted to be some sort of gaming homage to A Nightmare on Elm Street, and at moments some of the effects are interesting in theory. Ultimately, the execution leaves a heck of a lot to be desired, but the premise is intriguing. I don't know if there's a 4-star movie in here, but I would imagine they salvaged from what could have been a 0.5-star execution. Yeah, this kind of snuck on the under the radar. It's a 2022 movie that I forgot who recommended it a while ago, but the amount of movies that people either suggest or have a fiduciary interest in me talking about is high. And this just happened to be a thing that I stumbled across. I think it's funny when you search for something on, I think it's both Amazon and Netflix. If you search for something, I think this was me searching for Mortal Kombat, and they're like, hey, there's a video game type thing here. Would you like to watch this? And it just reminded me about this. So instead of watching the 2021 version of Mortal Kombat, this was suggested, and that's how this happened. Not terrible, but certainly not good. Um, you could do far better, which is really it's really weird how this isn't a I don't think it's a gaming property or anything, but how many like gaming movies there are that really are not good at all. It seems like what there's maybe like 20 gaming movies are based on like gaming properties, and most of them are bad. And by bad, I mean less than 2.5 stars. And this isn't even a franchise. It's just, hey, there's a game thing in here. Like one of my favorite horror movies that happens to have gaming in it is Brain Scan. And it's dated. I mean, it was dated by the 90s standards, but watching it in the 90s, Edward Furlong um, plays a relatively futuristic game where he kills someone in the game, but turns out that he actually did it in real life. Um, that nothing flawless, but I would rather watch that than most of the video game adapted things, based on franchises and shit. Uh, I remember that one. 1.5 is fair. Are you talking about 1.5 for Choose or Die or 1.5 for Brain Scan? Because I'm going to tell you that 1.5 for Brain Scan is pretty harsh, unless the first time you've watched it is within the last 2 or 3 years. I do remember watching Brain Scan thinking, man, I wish I had games like that where he's got like an Igor, which is essentially Siri. It's funny how dated and how prehistoric their idea of like I don't want to call it AI because it wasn't really AI, but like he would have his little Igor guy make phone calls for him and he would go on FaceTime calls, but it was all based from his computer. And man, his setup was awesome. I really wanted to have his TV set up. Edward Furlong had a really decent gaming setup, and he was kind of awkwardly interested in his neighbor, and that's where you kind of get lost with this guy. But um, as a kid watching this, I quite enjoyed that. I'm talking more about Brain Scan than I am about Choose or Die, which again shows how much or how little there is to talk about when it comes to gaming stuff in movies. Oh, yay. Um, Disclosure Day. I believe I saw this the day after it came out, June 14th. I gave it a 2.5 out of 5. This movie probably won't pass my first act test. By that, I mean I wouldn't have finished the movie. Um, if I were, my first act test is usually by the end of the first act, I kind of ask myself a question. Do I know what's going on? Do I care? This movie, I was kind of not into. I like to be honest, I wasn't in that do I care category. So that is my first act test. Um, it is tremendously uneven and quite a bit silly in exposition for the first half or so of the movie. That's the other thing too. Um, a lot of like their dialogue and delivery in that first hour or so, really, really odd and extremely uneven. I for people saying the acting in this is good, I do not agree with that. I felt it was kind of laughable, to be quite honest. There were long stretches where I felt like Spielberg finally was giving us his The Happening, but by the film's third act, he manages to pull out some of that classic wonder that is so trademark Spielberg. My issue with the other half of the movie is he couldn't portray that wonder, or better yet, distribute information to us, the audience, visually. In other words, a lot of the information we were getting was by dialogue, and it was getting exposed to us through exposition. What an interesting way to expose things. It's Spielberg. Like you can give us information like that. Like, Jurassic Park. The first time they see dinosaurs, we don't see dinosaurs. We, the audience, see the reaction of the characters' faces, and their reactions give you a lot without us even seeing the dinosaurs. You could tell that these characters are absolutely captivated by these things. But in something like Disclosure Day, it's just here's a just lore dump because you need it, and Spielberg's better than that. I'm quite a bit at odds with the praise, but I certainly feel like the last third of the movie saves it from being something laughably awful. And I've seen quite the opposite. I've seen people say that the last third is laughably awful. So it's a movie that I've kind of seen everything discussed. I even think in the Autopsy Stream group chat, everyone's kind of all over the place. So if we ever rank this will be a pretty wide spectrum. Um, hey, Gray. 2.5 for what? The magical item that can do whatever the scene requires for the glazing of the news. Shots fired. I don't disagree. 2.5 for the craftsmanship. I once we come across a train, I felt like as silly as that was, it was typical action. And I think from that moment on, I was kind of okay with it. If I'm not grading the second half of the movie, I think it's maybe a 1-star movie for me. I think this from the train incident on, like that's a 1.5, and the ending kind of works, but I see what you're saying. Yeah, it is very contrived. But it could have been worse. I think if you just take the first half, or even just the first act, and like take that and mirror it to the end of the movie, it would be way worse. So I don't know. I'm giving it a D minus, D plus for moments that I was whelmed with. I was left with whelm. Does it tie itself in a bow like every Spielberg movie? It no. My favorite Spielberg aliens movie is E.T. I would much rather watch War of the Worlds, Spielberg's War of the Worlds. I would much rather watch no, what the fuck's the one with the mashed potato mountain? I would much rather watch that, although that kind of I watched that too late, so it kind of bores me. Are there any others? Am I missing Spielberg alien movies? I think it's E.T., War of the Worlds, mashed potato movie, Close Encounters of the Third Kind. I didn't. No one said it yet. I'm so glad that I actually ended up remembering that. Close Encounters, as not a good time as I had with that movie, I would still much rather give that another shot than Disclosure Day. As much as I felt like some moments of Disclosure Day were salvaged. Did that train give you PTSD from Call of Duty? Yes, sort of. Yeah. While watching Disclosure Day, yes. I don't know. The CG at points was kind of gnarly, but maybe I'm giving it extra credit for just like waking me up from my bored slumber. Way more Kingdom of the Crystal Skull than Close Encounters. Oh yeah, I guess that would count too. Yeah, I guess. All right. Yeah, I don't know. Spielberg is the greatest director of all time. Take it easy with all that talk. But Disclosure Day was a bad day at the office by his standards. What's been a good day at the office for Spielberg in the last 15, 20 years? Because Nolan hasn't really missed. And for my money, someone who hasn't had a stinker yet is probably better at their craft. Don't get me wrong. If we're having this conversation in like 2005, I'd pretty much agree with that. But Spielberg's, he's kind of riding his legacy at this point, and I don't know, you either retire or break out the hits. There's so many great Spielberg movies I haven't watched. Right. Yeah. If we're talking 80s, 90s, early 2000s, yeah, you probably can't do better. But if we're talking 21st century, you could do better. You could do very better. Like even okay Spielberg in the 2000s or 2010s or whatever, it's there's in someone else's hands it might be better. The Fablemans was pretty good. Yeah, that's romantic fucking movie schlock. It's a pseudo biopic for Spielberg, and it's another movie that tells you that, man, Hollywood and movies are so awesome, aren't they? Little too schmaltzy for my taste. West Side Story I did not watch. Bridge of Spies was, I remember really enjoying it. I had no interest to rewatch it. Cody did a 2-hour Spielberg ranking, so check that out. Thank you. I'll just talk to him in DMs instead. I'm not going to waste 2 hours. If I'm going to waste 2 hours, he's going to be talking to me, damn it. I'm just kidding. Kidding. Anywho, that's my 2.5 cents on Disclosure Day. Oh, here we are. Now we're going to have a break for stand-up comedy. This doesn't count as a movie, but it's new. It's barely feature length if we're being completely frank here. Tony Hinchcliffe, Man of the People, which is on Netflix, coming in at a staggering 55 minutes. My review was, don't specials need to feel special? This was quite padded and felt like a rough Tuesday night late show at an otherwise half-empty club, not a premiere Netflix comedy event. Kind of ironic that this is the show creator of a competition where comedians need to perform their best 60 seconds. I don't know if there's a total of 60 seconds of premium material here. Kind of shocking. Yeah, I don't know if this is too much inside baseball here, but he was doing crowd work within 10 minutes. And if that was planned, if his entire setup was to be that, it didn't feel special. It didn't feel like he was doing crowd work on a crowd that was like buzzed and into things. I don't know if he was like trying to do this like cringy thing where people in the audience, there's this one guy that they kept showing, and I don't know, the guy did not look like he was a person who was meant to be at a comedy show, and would not crack. He looked miserable. If anything, he looked like he was holding someone hostage in his car or something. And it was just really weird optics. And I think a better comedian could have capitalized on that. Like if you're doing crowd work and this is your special, wouldn't you want to pounce on that someone's not having a good time? Then there's a point where he asks someone a question and he just outright says, "You fucked up my joke." And it's like you're letting the audience, you're letting the viewers know that like you don't have options here. Like you're showing us that this crowd work thing, like he's showing the magician's secrets because, when people see crowd work, they think, oh, the comedian can go 5 different ways. There's so many different things he can do when somebody says something. What he does, and he leaves it in the special. He says, "You fucked up my joke," because they asked someone a question if they've ever been in a car accident. And he's trying to do a typical, stereotypical Asians can't drive joke. And she said she hadn't. And he then just kind of hits the brakes and he's like, you fucked up my joke. And he left it in. Um, I really hope they only shot this in one go, because normally when you do specials, you'll shoot multiple versions of the same set, or the same script, and you'll have different things to cut to in case one joke doesn't work on one night and one does work. Like, you have three things to choose from of the same script. So some crowds might be better than others, and you know joke A, B, and C. Which performance worked best? All right, we'll take it from C, and you kind of work with that and edit around it. But this performance, um, it didn't feel like a headliner. It didn't feel like someone who's worth millions. I haven't seen Tony Hinchcliffe do. I don't. I haven't seen any of his recent roast stuff. But like, if his specialty is roast stuff, it kind of makes me even more curious. Like, all right, roast stuff. You can't back out of crowd work. Like, you don't have extra ways to maneuver out of crowd work. There was maybe 5 like joke premises in this, and I don't think any of them were B quality. I certainly am not saying any of his material was A material. Maybe some B minus stuff, maybe a couple of C pluses. Like, the premise of them. Yet another comedian that just wants to tell you, oh, I'm the edgy boy. They can't cancel me. I'm going to say things that I shouldn't. And it's like, yeah, all right. Can you just do it though? Can you not tell us about how crazy it is that you're going to say things that most people can't? Like, people who push boundaries, they don't need to roll out the red carpet for things like that, and they'll just do the thing, and that's where they get their infamy from. I don't listen. I don't have much experience with him. I watched his special from 2016. That's hard to find. I wasn't very impressed with that. 10 years later, it's great that he's got a show that's giving a lot of comedians opportunities. Two things can be possible at the same time. He could be doing a lot for comedians. He could have a very entertaining and popular show for comedians. That doesn't mean that he isn't a great comedian. They all can be true. And for right now, that's what I'm going with. Ray says, finger gun to your head. Would you rather rewatch Man of the People or One Shot? All right, so One Shot, he has this like cinematography thing that they're doing. They do a one shot. I don't know if that type of cinematography trick is supposed to work for stand up. Again, you want to have your best representation of your material. I would almost maybe rewatch One Shot just to see maybe like, I don't know, maybe it feels fresher in comparison. I'm just not impressed with Hinchcliffe. And just like I said about Natalie Cuomo, that she is maybe a feature act, maybe. Hinchcliffe, I don't know if he's got feature act material. But what do I know? I would gladly switch places with him instantly. So, I'd love to be a currently employed by Netflix for 4 or 5 specials a year and shitty, because I'm shitty without the specials. So, yeah, I would switch places with him. But from a critical perspective, not good. Underwhelming in a sea of hard to pick out mediocre comedy specials. He's just got that name recognition, and that's really it. Hinchcliffe has 0 stage presence. He just stiffly, slowly walks around the stage, and his delivery's so dull. Yeah, um, I don't know if he was trying to do, like, his Day the Laughter Died thing, but, like, they did not sweeten the crowd at all. They didn't add, like, any sort of Foley stuff where it sounds like it's, the crowd is livelier than it was. It sounds like a dead crowd. It sounds like a Tuesday, where, people gotta go to work early the next morning. It's not a good representation of a premiere special. That that's that. I understand Louis CK is a creep, but I watched his latest special, and watching his special so close to Tony's really puts into perspective just how much better CK is a Oh, night and day. Louis CK can have a better set of thrown out material in 1 year, like stuff that he will not use and never use it again, than Hinchcliffe of the 10 years of stuff I've seen of him. And again, I have not seen the infamous roast stuff, but it's my understanding that there's a bit of a group effort with the writing on roast stuff. So yeah, I don't know. And Jacob says one shot is better than Man of the People. Fails to be funny, but at least it's ambitious. I guess I would agree with that. Man of the People is neither ambitious or good. I would agree with that as well. But as far as Kill Tony is concerned, he's still doing just fine. So I don't know. I don't know. I'm glad that he acknowledged he didn't do well and said something along the lines of, "I would have to give myself a small notebook, a small joke book, maybe no joke book." So that's our little comedy detour. Oh, brother. On to June 19th, I watched Deep Water, which I gave 2 stars, and I tried to be a cute shit. This is what happens when you try to smoke analog in the digital world. Uh, that is a reference to a guy who is smoking cigarettes. And I don't know the last time you were able to smoke cigarettes. Believe Yeah, it's a Rennie Harlan movie. Rennie Harlan, interesting director. He's got a couple of, I won't call them hits, but he's got some entertaining movies under his belt. This really is somewhere in the middle. It's not quite Strangers chapters 1, 2, 3, but it also isn't, some of his better stuff from the 90s or Die Hard 2. Um, it's an okay movie for like 45 minutes. Um, it looks okay. It's a little too glossy looking. There's a lot of flat lighting. Um, but once the plane crashes, spoiler, um, plane crashes in the ocean, and there's sharks in the water. And I don't know if they were like trying to do some sort of Sharknado thing or like be kind of ridiculous about the disaster aspect of things, but it really got cheap and cheap looking and silly looking. The second half of the movie is like just silly. I'm not saying that the first half of the movie is something that was, you know, 5 stars and was ruined by the second half, but I didn't hate the ride we were going on. Irony. Um, and that ride crashed. So yeah, there's like typical disaster film fare where like you have annoying characters and high school people that are on some school trip or something. Like it's like they took every disaster thing plus some Final Destination stuff and put them all together. And what if sharks? Um, the problem is I didn't really like any of the characters. I kind of tolerated a couple. Like the cigarette guy is the most annoying guy, and like very, very transparently. So you're like, oh yeah, this guy is going to be the reason that this fucking thing goes down. And yep, him and his incessant need to smoke is part of the problem. But the like the kids that were like flirting and going on a date or something and had to switch seats, and it's just I didn't really care for, didn't really root for any of the characters. Ben Kingsley, I as the pilot, um, it's a no from me, dog. But I learned this what 2 years ago. People like shark movies, so if you like the idea of, you know, airplane, airport, airport is the serious one. If you like the idea of airport meets shark movie, you have two halves of the same intrigue here. I wouldn't say it's something to go out of your way to see, but it's not the worst thing I've ranked here. So 2 stars, you could do worse, you do better. And here we are. Okay. Something else I've seen, which 12 likes on my letterbox thing. That's interesting. The most popular YouTube short of mine, also the most hated YouTube short of mine, Citizen Vigilante. I gave it a whole half star. June 21st. That is 10 days ago now. 11 days ago? It's a very long time ago now. And that short is still riling them up. There will be a who would like that on this movie. Anywho, my words were as such. This is far less a story in 3 acts, rather a series of erratic ideas put together. A movie is supposed to convey both its and its characters' motivations, and well, this movie isn't a vigilantes movie so much as just a dude using an excuse to take the law into his own hands on his own terms. The ultimate metaphor movie is this. During a sexual encounter with a prostitute, our lead character gets distracted by mold on the wall. I'm dead serious. Half star. Um, I thought I made this clear in discussing this. I'll reiterate it now because I don't know. I don't know if it's hard to follow things that I'm saying. But 2 years ago, when Amelia Perez was nominated for 11 Oscars, I said that this movie has no business being nominated for that many Oscars, or I might have even said any Oscars. I realize you're trying to be all rah about a particular movement, but there's other movies. I think I even said, why not champion something like Tangerine at a moment like this? Um, you know, that people will see right through shit like this if you do stuff like this. And this is why people get cynical about things that happen in Hollywood. I'm not having any sort of allegiance to one side or another. I'm kind of the guy that just wants movies to be good. I don't care what your politics are. I don't mind watching good right wing stuff. Jacob's brought it up a couple of times. S. Greg Zoller, right wing filmmaker. I quite enjoy his work. I don't care. Just entertain me. Mel Gibson, good filmmaker. He even made a war movie that was also quite faith based. Hacksaw Ridge. I really enjoyed that movie. And I'm just here for the movies. So, with all that said, Citizen Vigilante is equally cynical in its there's a bunch of people in the UK, not so much Europe, or I guess Germany. But it's not all throughout Europe. The UK, and if you don't want to do much work and look inward and say, why does my life suck? There are certain outlets that will tell you the reason your life sucks is immigrants. Immigrants are the reason that everything's going wrong for you, even though you have not met an immigrant, even though an immigrant has not affected anyone in your lives. But that's the problem. It's easy to hate something that gives you the back door, to not blame yourself and not think about why things aren't working out for you. And it's funny that Elon Musk shared this movie and gave it away for free. There's a line in this movie where three kids steal a bus ride, and there's this learning moment where Armie Hammer's character, I don't know if it was before or after he held a gun to a teenager and said, if you steal bus tickets and everyone else has to pay for things, I know what I'm going to do in my edit on Who Would Like That, because you can have that same messaging for someone getting tax breaks for their billions of dollars. We all have to pay for a certain owner of a major social media company. If they're not paying their fair way, we need to pay that. So, I understand your point, but that kind of works on both ends of the poorness spectrum there. Not that I'm interested in having that political discussion. If you want to tell me that this guy is taking out the trash and his motivation is he wants to clean up Europe because he's an American, okay. Why is he interested in what's happening in Europe? Is he related to someone in Europe? No. He inherited an apartment complex, and he's an illegal immigrant in Europe. So, a bunch of hypocrisy from a character who's running around, taking the law into his own hand, killing a ton more innocents than anything. But again, if you want to do a death wish thing, if you want to do a falling down thing, if you want to do a John Wick thing, I'm with you, but you need to convince at least me, maybe not every audience member, of the character's motivations and, why am I rooting for him? And not just, oh, these are immigrants that are doing illegal things and they need to pay. Ultimately, as far as filmmaking is concerned, you need to show me that. You need to convince me of that. And yes, I'm aware that things are happening in the real world. This is not a documentary. So, yeah, the same way that people complain about what, fucking Captain Marvel being a Mary Sue or whatever. Yeah, same thing here. Like, this is why I tire of the political shit, because so the I know you are, but what am I? That's all these two sides are going to do with this shit. And to be fair, this isn't a two sides thing, because it seems like grifters, it seems like the same people who are saying that this is the most important movie ever are the same people who say things like, oh, Ray's a Mary Sue, Captain Marvel's a Mary Sue, Supergirl sucks, Snow White's the worst thing ever. They also will say that this is the most important movie ever. But they're not really thinking about the films in question. They just have some sort of narrative that they're trying to put across. And it's never really about the actual artwork itself. And that's what's frustrating to someone like me. You can say that I'm leaning one way or another, which I really try not to have that be the case in something. I'll try my best to judge a movie based on what it is, but this is dog shit. The movie, the movie opens with a mother and her young child leaving a convenience store, and she gets stabbed in the neck, and the person who commits that crime, we never see that person again. We never see anything that happens with that character. Why did you show us that? That was shown to us because a brown person stabbed an innocent mother. So you know where this is going, which I'm sorry, I don't. Um, so I don't factor in the real world when watching an Uwe Boll film where the opening title is an anonymous quote. You've got to do better than that. Listen, movie's doing fantastic for the people that want it to tell them what they want to hear, but I'm not a propaganda kid. And if anything, I would prefer someone to be much better in their prowess of propaganda. Leni Riefenstahl was a right winger and a propaganda aficionado, but her technical prowess was quite impressive. So much so that things that were introduced by her with her films are still being done today with like the Olympics and sporting events. Um, so it's not about right left. It's about you're fucking awful at making films. Character motivation. Uh, uh, shit. How much conflict is there other than uh, people are doing crimes and they're going to pay for it with their lives? Is it that easy? And if it is, why are there innocent people dying as well? Why does every member of SWAT die? What did they do other than trying to set justice up for their government? It just anytime you have some sort of internal question, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, and I'm sorry, that's like John Cena shit. If we're gonna talk about fucking Mary Sue and shit, also, why is there a scene with a prostitute? If you want to tell me that, we want to film a shot where Army Hammer's character manages to pay a prostitute to get head and then get distracted by mold on the wall. Okay, because he's the landlord, sure, but what does that lead to? Nothing. So we're just showing sex scenes to just show sex scenes. Okay, so it's not a documentary, but it's things that happen in real life. Got it. And it's also an absolute double standard movie because the person who's doing all of this justice is an American. So what this movie's telling you is, man, Europe is fucked, and an American better go straighten things out there. You're basically telling Europe that you can't help yourselves. You're going to have some fucking lunatic from America come and save you. That's what I would like to hear. If I was a European, that, oh, shit's in bad shape. You better hope that some rich American illegally comes into your country and takes the law into his own hands. Yeah, no. No, where do I sign for sequels? It's not technically household mold. It is a well, it's not a household. It's a bedroom bathroom nook. It is a lady of the night with her all in one, her studio. But yeah, the front of him being a landlord is just laughable, and a lot of his reasoning is just hysterical. I'm going to rewatch it for the sake of a who would like that video, and this is going to be the first time where I'm doing a who would like that. That isn't really focused on gore, but there is kind of gore. I guess there's sex to talk about. The reason it was banned is because people in Germany got fired up about a case that apparently part of this movie is alluding to or inspired by, which it does not say that in the credits for the record. Usually in the beginning of a movie, you'll say based on a true story, inspired by true events. Not here. We just have that random quote by Anonymous, where a judge let someone who committed SA off. And the people in that neighborhood took the law into their own hands and set a building on fire, and other people got injured. So Germany was again, it's Germany, so you just think about their past over the last 100 years or so. Um, a little cautious to, want to rile people up that will run around and set fires to places based on a film. Also, a quick reminder that in Scotland, a man ran around with two giant blades and stabbed five migrants the day that this was literally this day, June 21st. Dude in Scotland ran around and stabbed people, five people. And it wasn't five people in one location. He ran across town. So don't tell me migrants are the problem. If you would like to talk about sexual assault being a problem in Europe, okay, let's have that conversation. But 85% of victims of sexual assault know their attackers, and apparently, since we're in the middle of World Cup, 2/3 of assault on British women happen after a football game. That's kind of odd, and I don't think they say anything about it happening from migrants. So if we're concerned about women, let's do something about all of them, and not just the migrants. If we're really concerned about British women and European women, do something. You're right. No woman should have to deal with sexual assault. I agree with that. I don't know why we're cherry picking who should or should not pay for that. It's weird. It's weird that you would only want to talk about it in one instance. Thank you, Juicy Fear. I'm so excited for the invite. I feel like Seth Rogen is super underrated actor who is consistently great in everything he's in. I kind of agree with you, but I appreciate the pivot point, and I'm going to dive at it. On to the next thing. Oh, Toy Story 5. More happiness. Speaking of assault. Yeah, 3.5 stars for me. Watched it on June 22nd. Wow, I had a 2-day double bill of Citizen Vigilante and Toy Story 5. Yes, movie. We really need to keep an eye on kids and their screen time. And yes, times are changing and we all grow up. But can we maybe not lean on a franchise to tell us this type of story? It's still fine by all standards, but we're at a diminishing returns for what was once a great trilogy. And I worded that on purpose. I enjoyed 4. I enjoyed 5, but 1, 2, 3, really fantastic movies. Like, absolutely fantastic. It's okay. I guess considering what's happened in the Toy Story, well, I guess in the Pixar franchise, it's good for recent Pixar, but I don't know. Considering what 1, 2, and 3 are, if you want to say 4, fine. This isn't as good as 4. And again, it feels like it's messaging that's kind of samey. Like each one of these movies kind of plays on nostalgia at a certain point. All of the ones from 2 on, there's some sort of talking about nostalgia, and again, it's diminishing returns, and it just kind of feels samey at a certain point. But I don't know. I don't know if we need to. If you want to make an iPad movie and have it be like in the same universe as Toy Story, yeah, do that. But do we need to keep breaking out these characters? Because we're at the point where this new girl character, she's about almost age for to be passing her toys down. And I don't know, I'm not around kids like at all, so I don't know if kids play with toys anymore. I've seen kids who like have iPads and shit that they're always on, so it's an interesting segue to kind of discuss that. But I don't know, it did fantastic at the box office, so the fuck do I know? But It's good, not great. Who would like that Toy Story 5 win? Um, oh, next. Adam Remeyer's most recent, Caroline, 3.5 stars from me. The director of Dinner in America, and Kyle Gallner and Samara Weaving. A lot of pretty people in this movie. A Southern Fried movie that certainly has something attractive to lay your eyes on in case of boredom. Gallner, Weaving, and Nat Chevelle. Very pretty classic car, if I do say so. Jesus, I wrote quite a book here. This type of story is nothing that is going to be called fresh by any stretch, even right down to the vague time-blind period this movie takes place in. It's one of those things that it could take place in the 2000s, it could take place in the 90s, it could take place in the 2010s. It's just kind of, people don't use cell phones. It's very I don't know, uncanny. It's hot and heavy where it needs to be. My lone gripe would probably be on establishing Gallner's character and or the dynamic of the importance of Weaving's need for her mother. The movie does a great job of giving you the ins and outs of this rolling con job and bank robbery operation, but really is only surface level on what makes these characters move. I'm a big fan of only using handheld for frantic robbery scenes and staying reserved and stationary for otherwise boring home life and romance scenes. Yeah, there's stuff when she's home, like talking to her father and stuff, and it's just a camera set up on a tripod. I really prefer a stationary shot or something on tracks. But during these like robbery scenes, we have this handheld kind of shaky thing where it's like the only time where I kind of will tolerate it as long as it's like little segments and not the entire movie. I'm not a big fan of handheld, but this movie kind of does it really well. It isn't new, it isn't revolutionary, heck, it isn't flawless, but it's a rather solid time and probably a heck of a date night movie, especially in the South. Yeah, because it's them driving through the South doing odd con jobs. It feels like if you're a fan of Sawyer from Lost and his little side story, this movie feels like it lives in that same universe, right down to it taking place in the South and doing these cons and shit. Um, it will not feel fresh unless you've never seen a movie before, and this is the first movie you've ever watched. Then maybe it'll feel fresh, but I don't think this movie's trying to be something brand new. But um, it's a shame this movie will get like no sort of press or anything. But I'd much rather watch this than Toy Story 5. I'll probably watch this a second time and not Toy Story 5. Uh, yeah. And Jacob says, I like this movie, but it was a little too familiar. You know the beats. Right. And kudos to them for being sexy without nudity driven, if that makes any sense. It was hot without resorting to nudity, and Samara Weaving doesn't get covered in blood. Go figure. Yes. Jacob says Kira Sedgwick is a little hammy, in my opinion. Yeah, I would have liked more from everything surrounding her character. More on all fronts, considering what Samara Weaving's character, like what she's going out of her way to do. Um, it's a little disappointing what happens with that, without going into spoilers, because I think that's like third act shit. Next we have Power Ballad, which Cody really enjoyed. We discussed this on Sunday. I gave it 3 stars. I said, ironically has the appeal and charm of a live wedding band. Feels like something you recognize, but just matches any true sparks. What did I say? Feels like something you recognize, but just matches any true spark that moves you. I think I meant to say misses. Why does it say matches there? Was I doing late night? Did I get spell checked and fucked up? I think what I'm supposed to say here is it feels like something you recognize, but just misses any true spark that moves you. Yeah. Yeah, that sounds better. The movie's about Paul Rudd, who's in a wedding band, and Nick Jonas is like a typical, what Nick Jonas was. He, uh, boy band guy who's kind of retired and trying to put things back together. But Paul Rudd is a songwriter, and they spend a night together after one of Nick Jonas's friends' weddings, and yeah, they write a song together, and Nick Jonas's character uses one of the songs, and it's something of a hit. And Paul Rudd has some sort of claim to it. There's some sort of resent, and yeah, it doesn't go too hard. It doesn't get too dramatic. It doesn't get too tense. Um, it's what I would call like a safe movie. The problem, what is your name, sir? Shit, I always forget your name. This guy is a musician and just constantly writes and directs a bunch of like-minded movies. John Carney. Yeah, I've seen once. I've seen Begin Again, and now I've seen Power Ballad. Um, these three right here, and I've heard Sing Street. Apparently, is quite similar too. Um, all of these kind of have some sort of rhyming nature to them. They're all about like shit. Even the covers are kind of the same here. Singer songwriters that are trying to get back into the groove of things. Insert a little romance angle. The problem with watching Power Ballad and having seen, once and Begin Again and stuff, it not only does it like it's not like it's the same story over and over again, but it's done from a musician perspective. And Jacob says Sing Street is his only good movie, which I have not seen. So interesting. But the more of his music themed stuff you see, the more you're like, yeah, okay. Do you have anything else to say? Not bad. It's just it's like this extra gear that he's just not getting into. But you could do worse. I'm just gonna get a button where I can just say you could do worse. Next, oh, is Gray still here? Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie. I know Gray was big on this. I think Rudy was big on this. And at a certain point, I was just like, there's no shot this movie matches all of that hype. But it kind of did. For the first act, I was rolling my eyes. For the second act, I found myself chuckling at random things, even when I was apparently not trying to have a good time. A throwaway joke about the H1N1 had me giggling for way too long. And by the third act, I caught myself smiling for the last 10 minutes. I truly love when a movie can win me over like this. The YouTuber in me is elated to see Universal get worked around in the copyright department, too. Yes, Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie. If you like Back to the Future, and you are like tired of the Back to the Future like movies, try this because it it outright uses Back to the Future, but they do it in a way where it's extremely creative and it's a bit different, even with using footage from the movie creatively so, just like they did with Blackberry. Um, I'm not familiar with any of this group's work, but yeah, I mean, considering Rick and Morty kind of have bits of homages to Back to the Future, like I felt like some sort of in between thing between Rick and Morty and Back to the Future, and like these guys is kind of right in the middle there. Just random little jokes here that like they don't linger on. Um, Two guys trying to get a gig at a club, and they it was it 2008? I think they go back to, and it's just it's hysterical. The things that the things that need to be used. You don't have 1.21 gigawatts, but they have a rare commodity in this movie that is just fucking funny. Um, I'm really curious to rewatch this, but yeah, best comedy of the year so far. I probably agree with that. Um, yeah, I can't think of a movie that like I might even watch this again and looking for certain things, appreciate it more. Um, it's one of those weird movies where like how many movies are there that are like time travel but kind of like Back to the Future? This does not hide the fact that it's kind of like Back to the Future. Like it's right in the text, it's right in the movie itself. They're mimicking things, they're using score beats. Um, it feels like some weird Back to the Future fan film that also kind of exists in it doesn't exist in the same world because Back to the Future is a movie in this world. I think 4 stars is a bit low. I might agree. I tend to try to restrict myself. Uh, for the record, I don't think I have a 5-star movie so far this year. So I'm excited to watch this again whenever it comes out on VOD. Um, in the UK, it's being released to theaters. Well, now. So yeah, I'm really excited to watch this again. I'll see where it lands for the full year wrap up. Next, Masters of the Universe. Little 5-year-old me kind of wishes this movie came out when I was 5 years old, and maybe I'd feel differently about this. I was not 5 years old 25 years ago, before you go asking. If this were 25 years ago, I may have had an unnatural investment in this movie. So with that, it isn't 25 years ago, and I don't have an investment in this movie. This feels like it was copied off the homework of both Guardians of the Galaxy and Thor Ragnarok, but those were years ago now, too. This movie tries to take its fantastical material sincerely while also leaping at every opportunity to grab a laugh line. So I'm left wondering if anybody is meant to take this movie earnestly. That homoerotic angle does not count either because it's too quite tongue-in-cheek. It too is quite tongue-in-cheek. Man, I write this and I can't even read it. The logic behind everybody fearing Skeletor didn't quite add up. The logic behind Adam's family motivations also don't make much sense. But I think the target audience won't sweat that stuff too much. Skeletor got that 8:30 res at Dorsia, though. If you know, you know. Yeah, I don't know. It's fine. I know it didn't do well. That also doesn't really surprise me. If if anything, I'm really kind of perturbed that the movie tries to do like the 21 Jump Street thing where it like makes fun of the fact that it is what it is, but it also like tries to not piss off fans in a certain way, and it tries to play it right down the middle, and it can't. It doesn't really, you know, go all the way in any one direction or another. And I think you're being too safe while also trying to do something unique, and it's not really unique at all. Um, it's definitely set up for a franchise. I think there was 2 post-credit scenes. Um, I don't know. If kids of the 90s, 80s, 90s, um, if kids who were fans of this cartoon, come to realize that, hey, maybe those toys were kind of really homoerotic. Like, if this is your first understanding of that, um, that's probably an interesting conversation to have with a therapist. But um, I don't know. Like, who is this movie for? Why now? Even 10 years ago, even if you make this movie on the heels of Guardians of the Galaxy, maybe then it makes a bit more sense. But what's the long-term goal of this? It doesn't feel special, doesn't feel unique. Um, it doesn't really have anything incredible to say as far as like you could tell they're trying to say something about like masculinity and stuff like that. It wasn't too heavy-handed as some movies that were covered earlier this month, but it also just it's very milk toast if I'm being completely honest, but safe. I kind of wish I cared more. It's one of those things where I still have yet to watch Mandalorian and Grogu. I don't know if I'm going to watch that movie. So it's I don't know if this would. I'm trying to like dig into my head and wonder if I were a kid, if I were a little bit older than a kid, if this were 20 years ago, what would this movie mean to me? And it just doesn't matter. I kind of feel crappy about that. My nostalgia just isn't striking for this. Do you prefer the Frank Langella or Jared Leto depiction of the character? They're like they're like really kind of different. Jared Leto did an all right job. I guess I'll say Jared Leto, but I'm not really confident in that decision. Last. Oh, oh, I know I watched this. The last one of June. Hey, speaking of vigilantes and people taking the law into their hands, you can also count God Bless America in that category. 2.5 stars from me. Written and directed by Bobcat Goldthwait. This movie feels like it should have been released in the George Carlin slash Dennis Leary slash Bill Hicks 90s era edgy material, but it's somehow modernized for the 2000s. Funny how reality television is sort of dated now, so it actually sticks out a bit here. Otherwise, the movie's a bit restricted by a lower budget. I feel like the movie tries to step over some lines, but is a bit too interested in monologue about things that suck in the world and a bit less interested in proposing tough questions. This could go too far for some and be a bit too flat in its presentation for others. There's an interesting premise here, executions where I'm left wanting a bit more. Again, I gave this 2.5 stars. Um, People take the law into their own hands, but there's conflict here, and some decisions, some choices that are made in this movie, they have repercussions, which I don't know if everyone wants that, but most people who are watching movies, they would like to see some sort of action and reaction to things. I would watch this 1,000 times over instead of something like Citizen Vigilante. It seems like I've been challenged to list off a bunch of movies that are similar to Citizen Vigilante, but also better than, and any one of them that are similar, I'm going to guess and say they're better because they're at least made with a bit more care. Um, there's some things here where you can tell it's like there are moments in this movie where there's like really heavy monologuing where, man, I hate people that take off their shoes on the plane and yeah, do they deserve to die? Like, yeah, okay, okay, I see what your point. You're really funny. It was great when Bill Hicks did it, you know, 25 years ago when this was made. Um, but again, this Death Wish, Falling Down, Joe from 1970. There's plenty of movies that have a similar premise that are at least rewarding and challenging at the same time. Uh, Damn, that's low, man. Just watched it yesterday for the first time in like a decade, but it's surprisingly prescient and aged well, in my opinion. Huge fan of Bobcat's flicks, in my opinion. Oh, Bobcat's flicks, though. May just be glazing this flick tomorrow. I'm trying to. Who did he direct the? What was the thing that Robin Williams was in? Am I mixing things up? Yeah, World's Greatest Dad. I like World's Greatest Dad way more than this. Like way more, and it's older. That's interesting. I might have to rewatch this. Um, yeah, I don't hate. Uh, I don't hate. What the fuck am I talking about? I don't hate Made in America, but I prefer this, and I think just because I've been on an interesting kick with vigilante movies. I don't know. Maybe I'll have to rank vigilante movies, but I think in a movie that's like World's Great. Nope, not World. Let me go back because I'm just going to keep looking at this. God Bless America opens with this really gnarly scene where a taboo death happens, but it's also in a dream. So I feel like you can kind of argue in either direction for that. I feel like for as much as they're like crossing the line, showing certain things, um, a lot of it feels like edgy comedian monologuing where maybe a better filmmaker could have a reason to show it. Again, if you take this and Falling Down next to each other, Schumacher knows how to like show you things. Um, like when they're in the fucking McDonald's and he just has the burger and he's like, "Does that look like that?" It's visually something to work with. So I don't know. I don't hate it. I did watch this relatively late. It was only a few days ago, but I don't disagree. Bobcat Goldthwait is an interesting director. I now I can go back and that's a lot here. Oh wait, did he direct Annihilation? He did. Oh, he's directing stand-ups. Oh, he's directing a lot of stand-ups. Well, if ever there was someone to direct stand-ups, why not stand-ups? Pulp comics. Holy shit. Joyride. Dana Gould. I like Dana Gould. Shit. I'm gonna write this one down. Joyride. I think Dana Gould is quite underrated. Whammy Burger. Yes, not McDonald's. I apologize. How dare I use the legit name there? Um, yeah, so that is my June, as we're now technically on day 3 of July. I asked you something. Wow. I asked you something in chat on the poll, what looks to be the best month for movies this summer? 0% of you said August. 12% of you said June. And 88% said July. So we're in the best looking month for movies this summer. And yep, I'll probably be back with you guys soon-ish. I would love for you to see the numbers my stupid short is doing. And I mean, if you just check the comment section, it is very friendly in there. Very friendly. There's not very many words that will make many people blush at all. It's completely sane and normal and friendly. But yeah, if you go and see that short, and I'm assuming it's being shared on some platform, or somebody in certain political spectrums has reacted to that video or that short, and that's why it's kind of continuing to have a life. But I will cover Citizen Vigilante proper. And you know what? Why not ride the wave if it's going to continue to garner interest in the channel? Sure, I'll capitalize on it, because I'll expand on my thoughts, and we'll see what sane conversations that brings along. Please comment down below what your movies were this June, what you're looking forward to in July, and anything else you'd like to see in the month ahead. The missus and I just did a podcasty discussion thing on Obsession. Right now, patrons and channel members are able to hear that. Just over an hour, Emily and I discussed Obsession, which we recently rewatched, and channel members can hear that now. That'll be up in a little bit for the rest of you. Thank you to those of you who have contributed to the channel. We will see you soon-ish. Good night.
I know it's better.